I woke up one day, when I graduated from high school, I thought I knew everything, so I left the house. I still had that chip on my shoulder, I was a punk, but then I realized that that's not what I wanted to be remembered for. So I went down and started looking at some of the military branches. Looked at the Navy first, because my father was retired Navy. Then I went to the Army. Then I was walking by and I saw the Air Force and I didn't know what they did. So I went in there and they showed me a video of a guy jumping out of the helicopter shooting stuff, and that's what I wanted to do. My name is Brian Poston. I initially joined the military as a member of the Security Forces Squadron. Then I became a first sergeant, where I eventually retired out of headquarters AFPC, where I was responsible for about 2,800 people.
Brian is very charismatic, high energy, very passionate, especially about things that he loves. He's just a very great guy. Not just because he's my husband, but he's a great guy.
I was deployed to Balad in Iraq. My job was to round up and find everybody that was assigned to our unit. And two Chinooks, those were the big helicopters, were landing to pick us up. And there was I guess an insecure pallet, a 463 Lima pallet. It's about 300 pounds. Just picked up the pallet, and as I turned around, it landed on top of my head.
Traumatic brain injury.
Of course, they called my wife and told her probably at least 3 times that, you know, your husband's lucky to be alive.
He couldn't walk, he couldn't move, he barely could roll over.
Well, I tried to get to Afghanistan, and my chief and my commander, they told me, First Sergeant, I can't let you go.
He was suffering from serious migraines, sleepwalking, sleep eating. I'd find him in parts of the yard. He would walk in with bruises and blood all over his legs.
And they said, well, do you think you could deploy? And at first I said, absolutely, but then you think about it. If I were to have something impede my movement or endanger somebody else, I would never be able to live with that. So I dropped my retirement papers. I went from answering my phone and being on call for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was going 1,000 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden I didn't have a reason to wake up. I was like, I don't really need to get out of bed.
He acted like he didn't have a purpose anymore, that he wasn't needed anymore.
I'm not sure really what I did for the first few weeks, but make sure I was on the treadmill again at 3 so I could watch Ellen. It was crazy what I was doing. I went from doing all these different things to having a schedule, and it involved Ellen.
Seriously?
It was very difficult for me to watch that happen. And I just knew that I had to do something, because I was not going to watch my husband and watch him go into a downward spiral, because that's exactly what I was watching.
I'm looking at the event right here. Actually, setups from 8:30 to 9:30, and then teardown will be at 2. On the other hand, we also... My wife asked me about December if I was going to look for a job. And I told her, I said, I don't know how. I didn't know how to find a job.
Because as much as he thought he had prepared, he wasn't prepared.
My wife had to educate me on how to apply for jobs.
This is not just for you, it's for me and the family. It's for all of us.
Yeah, I'm gonna send my resume in.
You know, who do I need to meet with?
I got set up for an interview.
How to dress for an interview.
I did my research. It's about research.
And I think that's exactly what he needed.
And I nailed the interview, full of energy. And I got the call, and they made me an offer, and I've been there ever since.
Still a lot of people left here tonight. The crowd has thinned out a bit.
You ready to have some fun? Hey, you only get my good side, right? Anybody else need sunglasses? Stress toy.
Always strive to do what you want to do, because in the military, especially if you retire, you do at least 20 years of stuff that you don't necessarily always want to do.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
So after that, it's time to do what you're passionate about.
He realized, I am needed. I have skills that people need and want. I just noticed a completely different man. I hope that those transitioning from the military take the time. They always think they're ready, but the majority of the folks are not ready. They need to take the time to figure out really what they want to do. Set goals for yourself and figure out how you're going to achieve those goals. And just don't be afraid to start with the next chapter of your life.